Thank you very much. Now I'm inviting the children who have an entertainment to give it to us.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? Greetings from the Greenland. We are best located in the heart of Fort Portal Tourism City. We work with young boys and girls in the Western region by protecting and conserving our environment. Challenges. Each glorious day, arise to dawn. Environment challenges. Each glorious day, arise to dawn. When the darkness of night is gone, hopefully you can skies of blue, and your cares and worries are few. Cherish each day and do not pain. Treat each occasion like roses and wine. Feel the azure sky and each downy cloud. The contribution of nature clear and profound. Salvage this land that is your home. Seek and consult effort so you are not alone. Accept the things that nature has lent, and then spending your day in sweet content. Always have nature's priorities very near. Challenge every moment without fear. Make environmental decisions that are grand. Posterity will be grateful for preserving the environment and its components. We congratulate Jesse for their concerning our environment. God happen to be.
Thank you, the young conserving nature team. Now we are going to have a presentation. I hand over to our chairperson of this session. Thank you so much.
Welcome back, dear participants from the break. The next topic we're going to discuss is the role of government in implementing climate conventions, decisions of COPs, NDCs, Uganda laws and policies. The lead presenter for this topic is Dr. Karisti Ndimugaya. He will be doing it online. Our secretariat is in the process of connecting him. If we can only refresh our minds as to why Jesse convened this summit, it is mainly to bring key stakeholders in the region and the nation on how we can generate ideas and strategies. Because as you see, there are emerging climate changes in our communities, in our environment. So we need to design strategies and see how we can mitigate them. So the summit is a multi-stakeholder convention whereby all of us are supposed to generate these ideas. Before the summit, we are aware that Dr. Kalisti.
Chair, I'm requesting that I be allowed.
Dr. Kalisti.
Yes, I'm online. Can I be allowed to share my presentation, Chair?
Your volume, Dr. Kalis. You're most welcome, Doctor.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm online. I'm waiting to be allowed to share my presentation.
Okay.
Can the IT people allow me to share?
Dear participants of this summit, I'm introducing to you Dr. Karis Tindemugaya. He's the Director for Water Resources, Planning and Regulation, the Ministry of Water and Environment, Government of Uganda. He has over 30 years of work experience as a water resource specialist. So, Dr. Tindemugaya, you're most welcome to make your presentation.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yeah, Chair, can I be allowed to share? If you can request the IT to allow me to share my presentation. Chair, are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Let's arrange for that logistical connection.
Right. Yes, Chair, I hope my presentation can be seen.
Yes, we are seeing it, Doctor.
Yes, let me take this opportunity to thank Jesse for reaching this far. 30 years is not a mean achievement. I'm sorry that I can't be with you physically, but I'm happy to be speaking online. I will be talking about the role of government in implementation of international conventions, decisions made at different fora. And for this presentation, I have decided to highlight the kind of commitments and decisions that the government makes at international, regional, and national level. At an international level, I will just give examples of three. Under the Parliament, Climate Change, Conference of Parties, and the National Retirement Contribution. I also talk about sustainable development goals that are to be attained by 30. And then the recently concluded UN 2023 Water Conference that was held in New York in March. At the regional level, I will highlight what actually we enter into under the regional economic communities here, East Africa Community, IGAD, and also agreements under River Basin organizations like Nile Basin Initiative and Lake Victoria Basin Commission. But we also have obligations at the national level through the Constitution, through the policies of water, environment, and climate change, and the laws. So when we talk about the climate change agenda, we need to remember that Uganda is a party to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, which is an international environmental treaty to combat climate change. And this led into preparation or development of the Paris Agreement, which is an international treaty on climate change that was adopted in 2015. And it basically covers climate change mitigation, adaptation, and finance. So when we are engaged in an international discourse on climate change, we are basically trying to focus on how we take action on mitigation, adaptation, and finance. And the Conference of Parties on Climate Change are held every year, and these serve as an opportunity for the parties to assess progress in dealing with climate change and be able to take further action through negotiations. Again, we have negotiations, parties have negotiations, and of course we also have observers who come in and provide inputs. Now, countries are required to submit national determined contributions in accordance with the decisions of the UNFCCC, and every 5 years we are supposed to submit the NDCs, and NDCs contain priority mitigation and adaptation actions that each country has to take. Uganda was actually one of the first countries that submitted the NDC in 2015, and we submitted the updated NDC in September last year. So within the updated NDC, again, you could have been informed, but just to emphasize that we have adaptation actions and mitigation actions, and we have highlighted sectors where we are going to give attention to in terms of adaptation and mitigation. For example, Uganda's priority is adaptation. Mitigation is given attention, but our priority is adaptation. and we want to improve adaptation in environment and ecosystems, water and sanitation, agriculture, forestry, fisheries, energy, transport, tourism, and all the sectors that are impacted by climate change. In terms of mitigation, we have prioritized transport, manufacturing, forestry, energy, and waste. So when we are reporting and when we are negotiating, we'll be trying to ensure that Uganda's interests in as far as adaptation and mitigation are actually protected. So what are the key outcomes of the COP27? What are really the key messages that came out, or the key issues that one would say were the highlights of COP27? Number one was establishment of a dedicated fund for loss and damage. Developing countries need to be supported. Climate change is causing losses and damage. We need to have funds that help us actually deal with these challenges. Maintaining a clear intention to keep at 1.5 degrees so that we are really not causing more harm. Holding businesses and institutions to account. Again, we have been talking about it earlier, that we need to hold each other, we need to hold government, hold the international community, those countries that are causing us problems to account. Mobilizing more financial support for developing countries, again, it was the priority and a lot of resources were mobilized. And making the pivot towards implementation, that we need to scale up implementation. So these are the key messages, and I know the challenge we have been having is that many people don't know about this, and as long as you have not been part of COP, but again, this is where we need to improve. So what is COP28 going to focus on? It's going to continue the agenda. Loss and damage is going to be very key. Climate financing, just energy transition partnerships, early warnings, global stock taking, global goal and adaptation, and food systems. And again, here we have been discussing issues related to food systems. So COP28 is going to give more attention to this, and already preparations are going on. We'll be having discussions next month in Germany to prepare for COP. Now, in terms of SDGs, again, the Agenda 2030, you know, we have 17 SDGs, and these SDGs really apply all countries. And for us to be able to show progress on SDGs, we need to be preparing reports every 2 years, and these reports are discussed at the UN during the high-level political forum so that countries can account. And as you can see, we have SDGs covering the whole scope, and of course, we have one specific on climate action, 13. But we operationalize that through actions in the various areas. So under SDGs, again, a set of 17 goals for the world future, backed up by 169 targets. Each of the goals has targets to actually achieve. And again, those related to water, environment, and climate change are clear. This was negotiated over a 2-year period, and Uganda actually was the sitting president when the SDGs were adopted. They were agreed by nearly all the countries in the world, all the members of the UN in 2015, and these goals apply to every nation, every sector, cities, businesses, schools, organizations, and all of us are challenged to act. So this is called universality, that all of us have an obligation actually to implement SDGs and achieve them. It is also recognized that the goals are all interconnected, and I think earlier we were talking about the systems approach, that we cannot achieve the SDGs just working alone. We need to work together, create partnerships and linkages. So we cannot just aim to achieve one goal without looking at how it impacts on other goals. Again, this is called integration. So as we implement the SDGs, as we try to achieve them, we need to remember that we have to integrate. It's also widely recognized that achieving these goals involves making big fundamental changes in how we live on Earth. Again, this is transformation. So at our various levels, we need to remember that we have an obligation to contribute and also do things business unusual. So the other recently concluded conference, the UN 2023 Water Conference, this was the second ever water conference to be held. The first one was held in 1977. This one was held in 2033. And here we're trying to see how we have progressed in taking actions on water. We have a water action decade that was put in place again. Not many of us may actually be aware of that. So we're at mid-term trying to assess how we have progressed, but also how we progressed in terms of also the 2030 agenda. So within the discussions of the conference, all countries were requested to actually make commitments on how they are going to do things better. Uganda made 6 commitments. One on safely managed water and sanitation services. We committed to accelerate inclusive access to safely managed water and sanitation services, also ensuring that we reach the underserved. We committed to ensuring availability of adequate and good quality water for all uses, so that we make sure that nobody is left behind. Uganda's water resources are shared with other countries. We committed to accede to the UN conventions as a way of promoting transboundary cooperation. We also committed to scaling up partnerships and collaborations through ongoing initiatives. We see partnerships and collaboration are the way to go. We leverage resources, capacities, and be able to move forward. We also had a commitment on upscaling, implementing the updated national determined contributions related to water, where we want to put in place resilient water supply and sanitation systems, also looking at productive uses of water, promoting water harvesting, also ensuring that we increase climate resilient sanitation and wastewater treatment infrastructure, scaling up integrated water resources management approaches and water use efficiency, and also protection of ecosystems. The final one was scaling up our response to conflicts and climate change-induced migration, especially in this, through improved water services and water security, that people are moving because of too much water, too little water, and also conflicts. So these are the commitments. Again, we are making plans to ensure that they are really brought to the attention of everybody. We'll actually be having a meeting next week to draw up an action plan on how we can get the whole country to know about this and commit. We also have obligations under our transboundary programs. Uganda's water resources, as I mentioned, and environment resources are shared. We collaborate with other countries through regional bodies, regional economic communities, East African Community, IGAD, Lake Victoria Basin Commission, Nile Basin Initiative, and our aim is to protect Uganda's interests, but we have rights and obligations. So we are guided by, again, commitments that we have signed to. At continental level, we have African Ministerial Committee on Water, which regularly takes actions and ensures that all countries give priority to issues of water development and management and sanitation. The Nile Basin Initiative, we signed a cooperative framework agreement on the Nile, and countries are now in the process of ratifying it. We have East African Community Treaty and Lake Victoria Basin Commission. We have also a protocol on sustainable management and environment of Lake Victoria, and of course also have provisions under climate change. Under Intergovernmental Authority, we have also signed up to regional water policies, regional environment policies, and we are right now negotiating the water resources protocol. So again, whatever we do in Uganda, we are bound by this. But within the country, we also have provisions that we have actually to abide by. Constitution of Uganda provides for the protection of important natural resources, also provides for dealing with the disasters, so it provides an enabling environment for us to take action. And the Constitution sets obligations by government, but also sets rights by us as individuals, as citizens, and the sectors. And the Constitution is operationalized by policies and laws. We have the National Water Policy and Act. We have the National Environment Policy and Act. We have the recently enacted Climate Change Act, which governs Uganda's response to climate change and gives effect to the UNFCCC, the Kyoto Protocol, and the Paris Agreement, and gives these agreements the force of law. So we have now a legal framework for us to take action. Right now, the ministry working with the stakeholders, we are developing regulations to give effect to this. And again, here we also ensure that as we do our work, we have the provisions in agreements, conventions, and commitments domesticated and implemented. Government has an obligation to provide policy direction, provide enabling environment, raise awareness, and mobilize resources. For example, we have human rights to water. Government has the right to provide safe drinking water and sanitation to the people. We also have an obligation to adopt integrated approaches so that we work together, strengthen governance, highlighted in many international agreements. Again, we need to have good governance mechanisms to make things happen, ensure access to and make good use of finances, and the resources we are given should be used efficiently and effectively, build stronger institutions and regulations, again, create an enabling environment, establish accountable, participatory and transparent processes, again involving all the stakeholders so that we have meaningful contributions, increase resilience to disasters, again to ensure that people are protected from floods, droughts, landslides, then stronger coordination between the disaster risk reduction and development planning, and also ensure that we have sustainable development and poverty reduction. So government has these responsibilities, but it cannot achieve these alone. So moving forward, we note that there is an enabling policy and legal and institutional framework for implementation of agreed commitments and obligations in the country. And I think earlier it has been mentioned also that we are not short of laws, we are not short of policies, we are not short of institutions. However, the challenge has been awareness raising. We really have not raised awareness across the board, and that's where, again, partnerships become key. Civil society, for example, cultural institutions, religious institutions have really opportunities, have networks, have mechanisms, contribute to raising awareness, the media and others, and of course we also have to enforce the provisions of these agreements, the commitments, and ensure that all of us are complying with them. That's where compliance monitoring becomes very important. We need adequate financial resources. We need to mobilize them from all different sources, and right now we're talking about innovating financing from the private sector, from climate financing, from all sources, and these resources don't necessarily have to come in form of cash. They can actually come in form of in-kind contributions. And all stakeholders have a big role to play. Again, the Constitution is clear that while government has the obligation, the citizens also have the obligation. They have things they have to do, protect these resources, ensure that we live in harmony so that we can have a better Uganda. So we need to come up and support the government to operationalize these agreed commitments and obligations for Uganda to benefit from their implementation. More partnerships and collaborations are needed. And that's why we decided also to have a commitment on partnerships and collaboration, partnership between government, with the private sector, civil society, cultural institutions, religious institutions, and I think this forum is a demonstration of the fact that things can actually be done through partnerships. And I think Jesse has been able to mobilize all the partners, and that's why this forum, in my view, has been very, very successful. We need to move forward. And finally, the Ministry of Water and Environment is making efforts to bridge some of these gaps through the Water Resources Institute. Some of you are aware about the flagship program, the annual Uganda Water and Environment Week, which you hold at the national level and in all the regions of the country. Again, we are trying to make sure that we bring all the stakeholders to work together. We are having dialogues within the Water Resources Institute on financing, on innovations and many things. We have youth debates, we have dialogues, we have trainings. We have right now applied research. We are leveraging capacities across the board. We have a program of retired professionals. We are having mentorship programs. We have internship programs. We are trying to do business unusual so that we can contribute to moving these commitments and obligations forward. Thank you very much. Wish you all the best.